rise for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So typically at this time, we would appoint a temporary chairperson as the presiding officer. We did that at the last meeting to put me in the role here to start this meeting. And seeing as how I am not interested in being nominated in chairperson or vice chair for myself, I will remain in this presiding role until we get a new chairman. We'll move on to our report from the county clerk.
Okay. The county clerk report on member credentials is: I, Rachel Parker, county clerk in and for the said county of Peoria and state of Illinois and election authority for said county, do hereby certify that the following persons were elected to the Peoria County Board at the November 8th, 2022 general election, having received the highest number of votes for the said office in his or her respective districts. District 1, Sharon Williams. District 2, Camille Coates. District 3, Betty Duncan. District 4, Brandy Bryant. District 5, Jimmy Dillon. District 6, Eden Blair. District 7, Phil Salzer. District 8, Nathan Hare. District 9, Danny Phelan. District 10, Rob Renault. District 11, Linda Daly. District 12, Daniel Kelch. District 13, Terry Ruland. District 14, Brian Elsasser. District 15, Steve Ricker. District 16, Matthew Windish. District 17, Jennifer Groves Allison. And District 18, Paul Rosenbaum. In testimony whereof I have hereunto set my hand and the official county seal at the Peoria on this first day of December 2022. That completes the report.
We'll move forward to swearing in of our newly elected members.
If we could have each one of you just come and stand in front of the podium here. All of you. We're going to swear everyone in at the same time. You each have at your stations the swearing in. You don't have to bring the language with you. I'm just letting you know that you do have that at your station. I'll need your signature on that page, and I'll need it returned to me afterwards. So once you sign it, just leave it on your station, and Brooke will come by and pick them up. We'll squeeze everyone in somehow. Eden, you want to scoot down a little bit more? Scoot this way just a little bit more so we can get everyone. Hello? Yeah. If you could scoot down more to the right a little bit just so that we can fit everyone in. And your family can stand, your family member could stand like right behind you. You stand in front. There we go. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. You want to get everyone in here? Hi. Okay, this is going to be tricky because I can't hold my right hand up and talk at the same time. Okay, you all are going to repeat after me, and you'll hold up your right hand. After I say I, you'll state your names individually. Right hand's up. I, state your names.
I
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the
duties
of a member of the Peoria County Board,
as a member of the Peoria County Board,
County of Peoria,
County of Peoria,
Illinois, best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Please make sure you sign your oaths that are at your station. You also have a certification at your station that will be turned in along with that oath.
You need a pen to sign, though.
It's a certificate.
Yeah, we need pens.
Next, we would have roll call. For the new people, there's an apparatus at your station. It's a little box, and you will hit yes if you're present. Roll call, please. Member Ricker,
Here.
there we go. 18 present.
Okay, at this time, I'll ask for a motion and a second for the adoption of our temporary rules of order. Eden Blair and Linda Daly. So our local rules require us to adopt rules of order, and at this specific reorg meeting, the proposed rules of order in the packet that you all have are the rules that we're currently operating under. Our new board can at any time create their own rules, but we do need rules in which we need to have to navigate this meeting. Does anybody have any questions on that? All right, then. I'll take a motion in a second.
We got that.
Oh, we did that already. All right. All ayes? Please vote. That's right.
Member Ricker,
Aye.
$18 ayes.
All right, and the ayes have it. We'll move on to nominations for chairperson of county board. I'll take nominations from the floor for the for the office of county board chairperson.
Madam Chairwoman,
Yes, Mr. Salzer.
it's my pleasure to nominate the council member from the 5th District, James Dillon, as Peoria County Board Chairman.
Thank you. Any other nominations? So nice having everybody all together. All right. Any other nominations? Nominations have closed. So we will need, I'm sorry, please vote.
Member Ricker,
Aye.
17 ayes, 1 nay.
At this point, I'll turn the meeting over to our new chairman. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
No. Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I gotta fix this election.
Thank you. I take the privilege of the chair, and as you can tell, I'm not used to carrying all this stuff as Andrew so elegantly carried around here, but this would be the start of my 17th year here, and I haven't been this nervous since I first sat as a new member when we were around here. And I don't take this moment lightly, and I understand it, and that's why it's a pleasure to have my wife and my daughters here, because I wouldn't be able to do this without family. I have the best in-laws, my sister, my mom and dad, but especially to my wife, thank you. She understands better than anybody, and everybody knows here what, as an elected official, the phone calls you get. To the 5 new members, appreciate your vote tonight, and all the rest of the members, appreciate it also. Just a word of wisdom. I know I got big shoes to fill after Andrew's 8 years around here. To the 5 new members, I see Mr. Phelan and Mr. Morris. You will make some of the best friendships from this board, regardless of party. You would think you have different ideas, but then you realize how close people are. And I've made some of the best friendships that I wouldn't trade for anything for sitting around this horseshoe. So thank you for your trust tonight. We have a lot of good work ahead and big things to do, and I know this group will accomplish amazing things. So appreciate it. Now I'll go through the big book, Andrew. So next is nominations for vice chair of the county board. Mr. Member Renault.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Member Williams as the vice chair.
Are there any other nominations? Other nominations? Nominations are closed. Please vote for the vice chair.
Member Ricker,
Nay.
Fourteen ayes, 4 nays.
Congratulations, Vice Chair.
This is a pretty emotional moment for me. I've sat around this horseshoe for 10 years this year, and I've had such many good mentors. Andrew's over there. I'm so happy that he's here to watch this happen. New board members, welcome. It's just been such a pleasure to work with all of you. I look forward to the work that we're going to be doing in the coming couple of years, and I appreciate your vote of support.
Thank you, Vice Chair Williams. Next is the approval of the November 10th minutes. Is there a motion? Member Duncan, Member Daly. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Ricker,
Aye.
18 ayes. Next would be a proclamation acknowledging and supporting the agricultural community of Peoria County.
Okay. Give a little bit more room. There we go. Well, it's a pleasure to give this proclamation tonight to the Farm Bureau because I've been a member since I was 18, and that was a long time ago. So we'll start it off. Whereas Illinois is home to more than 71,000 farms, with 884 of those being in Peoria County, and 96% of Illinois farms are family-owned, and a third of which includes livestock. And whereas agriculture in Peoria County supports 5,005 jobs, which accounts for the estimate 4% of total jobs in Peoria County. And Peoria County agriculture and related industries generate total sales or output estimated at $1.6 billion. And whereas Peoria County has a total of 250,000 acres that are in production agriculture. In 2021, Peoria County farmers harvested 101,200 acres of corn, averaging 215 bushels per acre, for a total production of 21,758,000 bushels. That same year, Peoria County farmers harvested 85,900 acres of soybeans, averaging 68.6 bushels per acre, for a total production of 5,893,000 bushels. And whereas Peoria County farm property provides 5.8% of taxable value, which provides services to residents, and whereas Illinois farmers support the food security of our residents. The international pandemic displayed the importance of American food systems, as well as processing and supply chain weaknesses, and whereas new livestock development accounts for additional jobs, creating additional economic growth within the county, and whereas farmers are dedicated to caring for their animals in ways that also benefit the land, using tools and technology to better manage soil nutrients, water runoff, and air quality on the farm. Farmers are using fewer natural resources and reducing their carbon footprint while producing more food, and whereas farmland is a finite resource that is vital to agriculture, food production, and the economic well-being of our country and county, and whereas farmers in Illinois face multiple layers of regulation involving state and federal agencies, providing a comprehensive, robust regulatory program for all farms, including those raising livestock. In addition, data and information from state regulatory agencies demonstrates environmental issues from agriculture that are extremely rare occurrences. And whereas Peoria County recognizes the value agriculture contributes to our community, and that the rural way of life is the backbone of our country. Efforts should be made to assist in the ongoing success of the rural community. Now therefore I, James C. Dillon, Chairperson of the Peoria County Board, on behalf of the County Board, do hereby acknowledge and support our agriculture community and the jobs created, taxes generated, technologies embraced, and the environmental practices implemented by farmers that make agriculture a valuable industry within Peoria County. Dated this 5th day of December, AD 2022, James C. Dillon, Peoria County Board Chairperson, Rachel Parker, Peoria County Clerk. This is Bob Jansen.
I want to thank you for the proclamation for the Peoria County Farm Bureau, because we represent all of you, just like you represent all of us. Tonight we brought a basket of goodies as kind of a token of the proclamation and for the work you do for the farmers. You support us, we support you. And I want to thank everybody for this proclamation. Thank you. Yeah, we got Scott Lawson, Larry Bear, Steve Schaefer, and Sumner Hunt with us tonight. A lot of our other members are probably getting ready to get on the train in Chicago because the Illinois Farm Bureau Convention was this past weekend, and they're heading back now, or we would have probably had more people here. But so some of us are here, some of us are in Chicago. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Next, we would be at citizens' remarks.
So we have three, and they're all in regards to the zoning case for the land split coming up. 5 minutes per member. This is for a land use case. Some of these citizens' remarks were given ZBA testimony, so just a reminder to the board. One had not spoke at the ZBA, so you can only take into account what the fact-finding board at the ZBA was given. Anything else is different testimony. So first up is Steve Maxwell.
Thank you. My name's Steve Maxwell. My wife and I occupy the property bordered on the east and the south by the property in question here. My family has lived on that land for over 50 years. The people managing and owning this land, when they originally were allowed to carve out the keyhole property in the center of it, did it so poorly that they left the septic system for the house and the propane tank off. Now they're petitioning to do 6 5-acre lots out in there. It's not something I can recommend. The land immediately east of our house has severe erosion problems. The land to the south of our house has severe low volume springs in it. It's not something I can say that you could do and do well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Next up is Teresa Holhauser.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to speak, is it okay if I speak on behalf of a neighbor? Do I have to sign him in as well? Or can I?
Just you as a citizen that had to be prior.
Okay.
And, I don't believe you had spoke at the ZBA hearing.
I did not.
So this would be the one that the other two had spoke at the ZBA. So you can speak tonight, but anything said tonight cannot be taken into consideration since it wasn't presented to the fact-finding board.
Okay. Okay, so we can speak. Yeah. I'm Teresa Holzhauser. I live on Evans Mill Road, and this is Steve Maxwell just talked before me. I did send a letter to the board or an email to the board. I believe it was Saturday. Everyone should have received that. I live north of Steve on Evans Mill Road. The family has about 60 acres. We have 2 homes, and 20 years ago, the county so graciously let us split into 2 acres so I could build a house next to my parents, which since it was family they did, which I always think is a great thing because I'm taking care of my dad now. So it works out very well. I just recently heard about this through my neighbors probably 2 weeks ago. The sign that was up, I didn't see the sign. I wasn't notified. I was going through some family. I lost a mother a couple months ago. My father's in a nursing home, so I didn't hear about it. But I want to come here to support the neighbors here, understanding that there are a lot of, and I call them seasoned, I'll say I'm getting to be seasoned too, landowners that are out in this area. And it could very easily be someone very soon that would have 40, 60, 80 acres up for sale that would want to do the same thing. We raise livestock, and I think it was very timely, the proclamation today to the Peoria County Farm Bureau about how much they do for the community as well as agriculture. We raise livestock. We also, of course, farm corn and soybeans, have hay fields, etc. And when you split land, of course, that goes into the water tables. They could go into the same veins in the well. We need to make sure we have the natural resources available for all the livestock. I know Steve raises livestock every year, as well as Mr. Wagenbach, who's next to him as well. Also, and I think anyone who lives in the country would know that in the fall, in the spring, it's going to be pretty noisy. In the fall, you're going to hear the dryers running. They're going to spread manure. It's going to be very, let's just say it's a farm, it's a country odor that you're going to smell. We just want to maintain and protect the landowners that we have, and all I'm really asking is that you follow the zoning rules that are in place, ensure that we continue to have the natural resources that we do, and I know that Steve wrote a letter about how it affects him as well, and just protect the landowners and the community out there, and consider that once you make this decision, you're setting precedent. So if someone were to come back, a year and a half later and say, I want to split my 40 acres into 10 4-acre lots or 5, whatever it might be, that precedent is set. So once again, I want to thank you for your time, and I'll let the next person go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Michael Cochran on behalf of the petitioner.
I told them the meeting was going to start at 6:30, the second meeting, and they said it was 6:25. No, but you told me that the second meeting was going to start at 6:30.
Should I wait, or am I good? Go ahead. Okay. Good evening. My name is Michael Cochran. I'm with Austin Engineering Company here in Peoria. I represent the property owners in this matter. I just wanted to quickly address the county board and kind of go through some of the things that I went through at the ZBA and the land use committee, and some of the things that I answered for both that board and that committee in regards to some of the adjoining property owners' concerns. In regards to I'll start with the drainage concerns. We have evaluated the property for drainage concerns, and we believe we have laid out the property with appropriate setbacks and property lines to not only accommodate the existing drainage patterns of that area and make them suitable for future single-family residences. Secondly, in regards to soils and the natural wells, we did hire a soil classifications expert. We had soil tests done at the property. They confirmed that the soils were suitable for private individual septic sewage systems. This was submitted to Peoria County Health Department. Peoria County Health Department concurred and recommended or did not have any objections to our case. Secondly, in regards to being in conjunction with the neighborhood and the feel in the community, this area where we're talking about doing this is already full of similar tracts of the exact same size and nature. There are multiple tracts of 5 acres, 4 acres, 6 acres with single-family homes on them in the immediate area. Of this development. Fourth point was there were a lot of concerns about the maintenance and care of the property as is currently, and I would just like to point out that I do not believe that current maintenance and use is indicative of what future maintenance and use would be. And I would further argue that somebody coming in and purchasing a nice large 5-acre lot to build a nice home on would be more apt to care for that property in a manner better and above and beyond that of an absent property owner, which is currently what we have now. So I think that would alleviate a lot of those maintenance concerns. Also, I'd like to recognize that the Zoning Board of Appeals did unanimously approve this request and did state that it was in conformance with Peoria County's goals and future land use plan. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran. So I'm already going to have to invoke chairman's privilege of extending. Just a reminder, the deadline for new members is typically for public comment it has to be submitted prior to the start of the meeting. There was 2, since we have a kind of a joint meeting tonight we combined them. There was some miscommunication about when the meeting started. So there is 2 more requests to speak, but both of these requests had spoke at the ZBA, so I will allow it to be spoke. First up is Todd Detmer.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is my first Peoria County Board meeting, so it's nice to kind of witness the whole procedure. Welcome to all of you who are new members. I am the landowner immediately to the west of the subject property. I'm sorry, to the east of the subject property. Frankly, I'm in shock. I purchased the property. I have about 38 acres. It's primarily farmland with some wooded area. I purchased the property because of the zoning. I wanted to have a residence and farmland in a primarily agricultural area, so I purchased the property. We were considering doing some renovations, maybe even adding on, building some additional structures on the property. And I was quickly introduced to all the controls that the zoning of my property introduced. And I was doing my best to work with the office to work through all those, come up with something that would work for us, but also complied with the regulations. So when I heard about this proposed change of dividing this property into less than the 25-acre tracts, I was incredulous. I couldn't believe that all this zoning structure that was put in place in the county to control the use and to control the destiny of farmland was suddenly kind of thrown to the wayside because there must be some motives that I don't understand. There is, of this property that's in question, I think about a third of it is being farmed now. The remaining portion, or remaining third, is and actually used to be farm tillable acreage. It's grown up in brush now because the property hasn't had much attention probably for the last 10 years. There's no old growth trees, but you can tell it's been neglected. I'm shocked because the board threatens the control and the use of the zoning ordinance itself. I mean, it's kind of a fragile thing to have countywide zoning. Frankly, I think this will establish a precedent for many landowners looking for profit opportunity, looking to divide their farmland, tillable acreage into smaller tracts that they could sell off. I'm kind of shocked that with this many community members here talking and concerned about what's going to happen, I'm kind of shocked that the actual landowner hasn't been present in the Zoning Board of Appeals, wasn't at the land use meeting, isn't here tonight. We as neighbors don't have any confidence that the property will be developed or sold in a manner that is actually fitting and supportive of what's trying to be done in the county. So I just think that the board needs to really consider why it has zoning in the county in the first place, why it would grant this kind of an exception in a primarily agricultural area, and what its relationship is with those of us who are complying with the regulation. Thank you.
Detmer. Next up is Dennis Belcher.
Thank you for hearing me. I want to thank the zoning department for all the work they've done on this issue. I do know there's some property lines that need to be changed on the existing, for the present 2 tracks, and I hope that goes on, although I'm dead set against this rezoning to 6 5-acre parcels. It sets a bad precedent. This property was never maintained. The building, there was a building built about 20 years ago with no building permit. It appeared to be a residence, and I've since learned that they did go through some variances to try to get it in compliance. But that building has been sitting there now for 15 years. It looks like abandoned property. That's how it's probably taken care of. Concerned what if you approve this, what those 6 5-acre plots will look like. What they will look like in the future with what's happened in the past. Also, directly across from this property is a commercial elevator on Evans Mill Road. I think a lot of urban residents will buy this property looking for their privacy and quietness, and as soon as they encounter a harvest season, September, October, November, they're going to be disturbed with the noise, and lose all their privacy. Those elevators run 24 hours a day, and that's where these 6 plots will be next to. I think there's going to be a lot of problems from the people that move out there. In summary, I want to say that it's a bad precedent for zoning to be put in variance this way. And I also think there'll be a lot of future problems with the people that are going to be buying the tracks out there. And I also think that rewarding an absentee landowner who has not followed regulations in past years or not maintained property and now wants to have 6 5-acre plots for financial gain is the wrong thing to do. Thank you for your consideration.
Next is the consent agenda.
Member Renault?
I'd like to pull C6.
Oh. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. A motion and a second to Member Renault, Member Williams. Member Renault.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to pull C6.
Member Couch.
Pull item C17.
Any other items to be pulled? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
Just a clarification, you're voting on all of the other items that were not pulled on the consent agenda.
Member Ricker,
Aye.
Eighteen ayes. C3? No, C6.
Item C6 is up. Member Renault. Is there a second? Staley. Member Renault.
Thank you. Since the agenda went through committee, or I'm sorry, since the resolution went through committee, we got a final distribution from the attorney, and there was about $33,000 extra added to this. So I'd like to amend this resolution to include the total would be $143,841. And I'd also like to welcome the Humane Society President, Lise Mundwiller, and the Director, Katie Yanko. I believe they're over on that side somewhere, I think.
Perfect. Any other discussion? Ms. Daly was the second on the amendment. Oh, no, that was, sorry. There was a motion to amend. So is there a second by Ms. Daly? So vote on the amendment to vote on the full motion. I'll get this figured out.
This is the motion to amend.
So this is the motion to amend. So for the new board members, he amended the number, so we'll vote to amend the amendment. So we'll have to do vote twice on this. So all those in favor of the amendment?
Member Ricker,
Aye.
18 ayes.
Now we'll be voting on the amended version. Do we need a Yes, resolution as amended. Please vote.
Member Ricker,
Aye.
18 ayes.
Is there a motion to put C17 on the floor? Member no, Member Windish, Mr. Couch. This is why you'd say. So C17 has been moved. Okay. Is that good enough for an explanation?
Yep.
Okay. Member Couch said he had to abstain, so if you could hear him. Okay. All those in favor, please vote.
Member Ricker,
Aye.
We're voting on the speed limit change on 17.
We want to,
He abstained.
been locked. It's not showing me.
okay.
There we go. 17 ayes and 1 abstention. Next, we're at zoning ordinances and resolutions. Item number 1, case ZBA 2022-046, petition of Peoria County, a text amendment to amend Chapter 20, Article 5, Section 5.1, which is Agricultural Preservation District, 5.2, Agricultural District, 5.3, Rural Residential District, 5.4, Low Density Residential District, 5.5, Medium Residential District, 5.6, High Density Residential District, 5.7, Neighborhood Commercial District, 5.8, General Commercial District, 5.9, Regional Commercial District, 5.10, Light Industrial District, 5.11, I-2, Heavy Industrial District, Article 7, Section 7.7, Table 7-3, Parking Requirements, and Article 11, Section 11.1, Definitions of the Peoria County Code. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Is a motion to put this on the floor? Member Alsasser, Member Rosenbaum. I did ask staff, since this was a change to our own amendment, to give the same presentation that was given to the Land Use Committee so everybody could understand it. Andrew, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Andrew Braun. I'm the Assistant Director of the Department of Planning and Zoning. I'm joined here today by our Director, Kathy Urban, who's sitting over at the table. You'll hear a little bit from her later. What we have before you is a text amendment to Chapter 20, which is the Unified Development Ordinance. The Unified Development Ordinance, as you may have heard from some of the comments earlier, is the regulations for zoning and land use in Peoria County. It's not often that we propose amendments to this ordinance. It is something that's existed since the 50s. However, when laws change or when technology changes or when we need clarification on certain uses or language that's within that ordinance, we do present these amendments to you, certainly with all the research necessary. So today we have Article 5, which covers some of the use regulations, Article 7, which is the general development standards, specifically the parking and loading requirements, and then Article 11, the definitions. So what are we proposing to change today? We have some definitions that we feel need to be clarified. And when I say clarified, it's because in the past, there might have been a number of different uses where you could say, does it fit there? Does it fit here? Where does it fit? And so we want to take the guesswork out of that as some of these uses become more popular and we see them more frequently. So health clubs or fitness centers is something we're just updating the definition. It's actually already a use that's listed in the ordinance. Currently, we have a recreation area or facility definition. However, the ordinance breaks it out into public versus private. So we wanted to more clearly define that, public being owned or operated by a government agency, whereas private is operated as a business. We are proposing to add some new uses. Event centers are something that have become increasingly more and more popular over the last couple of years. Our department has continued to take phone calls and inquiries as to where and how they can locate these within Peoria County. We want to be sure to add that to our ordinance, as well as indoor shooting ranges. While we haven't heard as much about this type of use as we have about the event centers, it's something that there has been some demand, and so we wanted to make a proposal to add it to our Unified Development Ordinance. So I won't read the definition updates. They are included in your packets. What's important to note is that in your packets you'll see some language that is underlined. That would be new language. If you see language that has a strike through, that would be something that is being removed from the ordinance. And if there's no change, there wouldn't be any type of font or italicization. So we have the health club or fitness center, public recreation area or facility, and private recreational area or facility as updated definitions with no update to use regulations. So event centers. I said that this is something that we've heard a lot of. This might be a member of the public coming in saying we'd like to move to Peoria County and propose to open one of these types of facilities. This might be a property owner who wants to have maybe a small wedding or something of that nature. Many of us likely have been to a wedding event at a barn or a banquet facility, and so these are things that an establishment intended to be rented by an individual or groups for private functions or events, including those operated primarily for commercial purposes. Such uses include, but is not limited to, banquets, weddings, conferences, business meetings, or other similar events. Event centers shall not include overnight accommodations on the parcel. We are proposing a permitted use or by right in the C1 zoning district and the C2 zoning district, provided the floor area is less than 5,000 square feet, and we are proposing these as a special use in the C1 or C2 zoning district if the floor area exceeds 5,000 square feet. That is actually consistent with the clubs and lodges language that exists in the ordinance today. You might see an I2 society as an example of a club or lodge, and then a special use in the A2 zoning district. And that plays more into that landscape, that trees and scenery, and those are the desirable locations that we fielded the phone calls and had the office visits. So the parking requirements that we are proposing, and as a note, all uses listed in the ordinance do have parking requirements. 1 space per every 100 square feet of event space. A question did come up, is that total size of the building, or is that actually usable floor area? And so to clarify, that is for the usable floor area. The indoor shooting range, while it's not something we field a lot of calls about in the last couple of years, it is something that we've heard or received questions on. So we're proposing a use regulation, definition, and parking regulations. So this is a facility designed or used for the safe shooting of firearms and archery equipment at targets, and which is completely enclosed within a building or structure. There are similar uses in the city of Peoria, in Tazewell County, and in the village of Morton in our surrounding vicinity. We are proposing this as a special use. Again, a special use is something that comes before the board for approval. It's not just permitted. In the I-1 zoning district, we feel that this is consistent with the area that you'd see in I-1. Generally, it's more of an industrial or a box or a warehouse type look to it, and there have some separation from residential districts, so it felt more appropriate in the industrial districts than any of the other districts. The proposed parking requirement is 1 per shooting stall plus 1 employee per shift. So you might ask, how did we come up with all of this? It wasn't, we'll have to take credit for it, I didn't brainstorm this. We do have some policy books. The Center for Urban Policy Research provides some definitions that we can use as a baseline. We've also talked to several local municipalities and counties that are listed here on our screen. But what we want to do is look at what other communities are doing, how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and most notably what they said they'd do differently. So we've had conversations with zoning officials from all of these communities to make sure that what we're bringing forward to you is the most comprehensive and well thought out plan that we can provide for Peoria County. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this. I know this may be new to some of you and may seem repetitive to others. We don't come before the board very often, but I'll turn it back over to the chairperson.
Any questions from the horseshoe? that was presented to land use, and I thought it was important to hear them taking comments. There had been quite a few wedding venues here just recently that we talked, and then we saw something in the code that needed to be addressed, and they addressed it and did the research. And for the new members, you'll learn quickly that staff is top notch and really goes above and beyond and did their research, as you can see from some of this. So I just thought it was important, especially this is a business friendly. We saw something that could be addressed, and they addressed it. So if there's any other questions of Andrew or Kathy before I call the vote? Brian?
Well, this is very real life because 5 or 7 years ago, Michelle Spurgeon, who was a friend of mine and a constituent, wanted to build an event center out there on Ford Road, and there just wasn't any water there. I mean, all the neighbors had to haul water just to get by on a daily basis, and so she realized that wasn't the place, and then we tried to work something out with her for Ravina on the lakes, and that didn't work out, and now she's downtown, and the venue, Shiska, is that the name of it? Yeah, so these things do take place. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Ricker?
Aye.
Member Williams? 18 ayes. Next is item 2. Case ZBA 2022-0049. Petition of Michael B. Cochran, a special use as required in section 20.5.2.2.1.A.1 of the Unified Development Ordinance. This section allows for a special use when a proposed land split does not meet the 25-acre minimum lot size, nor the one dwelling unit per 25 contiguous acres density requirement in the A2 agricultural district. The petitioner proposes to split 2 existing parcels and a portion of another into 6 proposed 5-acre tracts. This parcel is located in Radnor Township. The Zoning Board of Appeals recommends approval with restrictions. The Land Use Committee concurs.
Is there a motion to put this on the floor? Ms. Blair? Ms. Allison? I did ask, typically, Kathy's going to give a presentation just like she did in land use, but Ms. Boswell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to, especially with the new members present, give a little bit of a procedural explanation. This can be a little confusing, so I'm happy to field questions as you discuss. But the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, acts as the fact finders in zoning cases. So they're the ones who receive testimony, and then they make their findings of fact and make a decision based on whether those facts support a special use, a permitted special use. So the ZBA, then that decision goes on to the Land Use Committee. The Land Use Committee does not get to take in new facts. They simply review what the ZBA, what they found, and see if they correctly applied it to the ordinance for special use requirements. Similarly, here at the county board, you're the next level up, that you also vote and look at what the ZBA found to be the facts and see if it was properly applied to the ordinances for special use. I like to think of this as the ZBA is the trial court level, the Land Use Committee is the appellate court, where they're not hearing new facts, they're just looking, did they apply correctly to the law, in this case ordinances. And similarly for the county board, you're like that appellate court review. So maybe that's not helpful as an analogy, but it helps me. So again, happy to field any procedural questions as Ms. Urban's going to discuss the actual facts of the case.
Kathy?
Hello.
Yes, this is a special use request as required when a proposed land split does not meet the 25-acre minimum lot size requirement in the A2 agricultural district. The petitioner is proposing to split two existing parcels. One is already 7.5 acres, the other is 23 acres, and a small portion of another into 6 proposed 5-acre tracts. These parcels are located on West Legion Hall Road and North Evans Mill Road in Radnor Township. The subject parcels and all parcels to the south, east, and west are zoned A2 agriculture. To the north, the parcels are zoned A1 ag preservation. The subject parcels to be divided consist of 2 small agricultural fields, both of them together total 10 acres, timber, a creek, grassland, and an outbuilding. Surrounding land uses include row crop agriculture, timber, and single-family dwellings. There is a 3.854 acre tract with a single-family dwelling adjacent on the site's southwest corner. There is a 1.85 tract with a single-family dwelling adjacent to the site's northeast corner. There is a 5-acre tract with a single-family dwelling adjacent on the northwest corner of the site. The parcel at the center of this site, included in this request to remedy encroachment issues, consists of a single-family dwelling on 5 acres. In addition, there was a request to divide 5 acres from an existing 38-acre parcel in approved zoning case 00402U on the parcel directly to the east in 2002. That 5-acre parcel is located approximately 1,050 feet to the east of the subject site. There are 7 parcels ranging from 1.85 to 5 acres within 2,500 feet of the subject site. There are 4 single-family dwellings within 100 feet. The petitioner's request is consistent with the surrounding residential density and parcel size. A LISA was conducted on this project site. The overall LISA score was 207 out of 300, which is a medium rating for ag protection. The 6 proposed tracts would utilize private wells and private septic systems. New wells were drilled on each of the parent parcels as part of the special use request. The petitioner did submit a well construction report for each well. Both wells meet or exceed the 3 gallon per minute requirement of our Unified Development Ordinance. The petitioner submitted soil tests from an Illinois professional soil classifier showing the viability of future septic systems for all 6 proposed lots. The Peoria City County Health Department submitted a letter from Carrie Paneer, who's our Director of Environmental Health, commenting that there is cause for concern regarding the installation of traditional on-site wastewater treatment systems on some of the lots due to seasonal high water tables and slow soil permeability. However, the Health Department currently had no objections to the land split. Carrie Paneer is here in our audience tonight as well. IDNR EcoCat review was conducted on the site. There is no record of endangered species or protected sites in this vicinity. No comments have been received from the Radnor Township Road Commissioner. The addition of 6 dwellings should create a minimal traffic increase for West Legion Hall Road and North Evans Mill Road. The County Comprehensive Land Use Plan designates this area as agriculture. The plan states that given that these areas are less agriculturally productive than the ag preservation land use form, there is more allowance for growth and development. The plan also states that residential uses should reflect the ag nature of the area by locating on large lots. The petitioner proposes to divide these parcels into 6 lots of approximately 5 acres each. The request is consistent with the recommendations of the county's comprehensive land use plan. There were 5 objections and no consents on file. 3 of those objectors spoke tonight, Mr. Dittmer, Mr. Belcher, and Mr. Maxwell. Tim Wagenbach also submitted a letter both for himself and as president of Akron Services. Staff recommended, with the restriction that parcels created by the approval of this special use may not be divided again, even if subsequently combined with other parcels, unless a rezoning is granted by the county board or unless each lot created meets the 25-acre minimum lot size. This restriction is actually an ordinance requirement, but we list it as a restriction just to make sure everyone is aware. As you know, the zoning board concurred unanimously and the land use concurred as well.
Questions for Kathy? Member Allison?
I'd like to hear from Kathy or possibly Carrie about the concerns from the health department. I know some of the concerns would actually be turned over to future home builders.
Yes, as my letter stated, based on some of the seasonal high water table present on the lots, as well as some of the slope soil permeability, there may be it may be challenging to install something that is traditional subsurface and not some of the newer technology. Newer technology or mound systems would be more costly. So if that's what you might be referring to. So yeah, so in the future, whoever does decide to build there, they may need to do some additional borings or potentially use something that's not traditional that could have increased cost.
Kathy, to add to that, do you want to explain the process? Just because we're dividing these does not mean that a house will be built on it tomorrow. There is still a process that needs to be.
Yes, so the first step would be a tract survey to divide the parcels. It is possible that we could, and we would be likely to do this, request that on the tract survey there be a notation from the surveyor that stating what Carrie just mentioned, that traditional septic systems may not work on some of the lots, so that it is recorded that way on the tract survey as well. In addition, when someone applies for a building permit on these houses, we do not issue a building permit until a septic permit has been issued. So they would have already gone through the health department's process to find an appropriate type of septic system and acquire that permit before we would issue a building permit.
Thank you, Kathy. Member Alsasser?
Well, I'm going to be opposing this, and you know, a lot of people might say, well, of course you would, because these people are your constituents, but I would be opposing it either way because for many different reasons. First of all, I've been on the land use committee for many years, and I don't want to say how many, otherwise they might think I'm old, right, Phil? Anyway, I can never remember a time when we had a case that carried this much weight where I haven't been able to walk up to the landowner, and I realize that there's a petitioner that's representing the landowner, and at least shake his or her hand, you know, ask them questions and look them in the face. That means a lot to me, and it's really disappointing that I haven't been able to do that in this case. And furthermore, when I drive by the place and I see the water erosion and the rundown building, and then when I read the information that when the landowner sold the house and the lot off, that he didn't even have the septic tank and the propane tank inside the boundaries. To me, this tells me there's been some carelessness. And so I'm just very concerned about the neighbors that live out there. They've lived there their whole life. And when they see things like this, I think that's what's disturbing to them as well. You know, a lot of times when you live in the country, you have a neighbor that everybody knows already, and they want to do something like this, and they all get together for a little meeting, and they talk and about what, you know, the goals are and the plans, and everybody gets along. But you know, that certainly hasn't been the case in this situation. And it's just been very disappointing that the landowner isn't even willing to show up and let me shake his hand or her hand and talk about this.
Any other questions, comments? Member Windish.
I just want to go back to make sure that we say that, I mean, this has been an interesting vote for me. I've spoke with several of the people in the district. I'm not sold that it's a good idea either. I don't like the idea of it. I agree with every one of you that spoke or that I've talked to. but also, as some of you brought up, that you want to be able to do what you would like to do, and that there is a lot of hoops. I still see how there can be no way that we can sell somebody no to their property. I will be voting to support this, but I also don't like the idea of where and what. I mean, I've got several of these in our area. Every new house I haven't liked, but now I'm used to them all. I think it's the way we're trending, but I don't like it either. But I will be supporting this.
Member Rulon?
The unincorporated distance from Dunlap to this property is 3.5 miles. There's 18 properties, estate homes like this, like what's being proposed already in that 3.5 miles. If you extend down to Mendenhall Road, there's 25, which is a 5-mile stretch. I would say, no pun intended to the farmers, but this horse has already left the barn. Now, from the erosion standpoint, be aware that Peoria County has a pretty robust erosion control ordinance that comes along with the building permit process. So this is actually an opportunity to improve that issue. As they take a building permit, each one of those property owners is going to be expected to comply with erosion control conditions that are placed by that ordinance. So I'm going to be supporting it. It's already there in one form or another. And I'm with Member Windisch. I'll stand with the property rights of the owner.
Member Rosenbaum?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand where our constituents that came to speak tonight, where they stand, but I also, like Mr. Rulon, Mr. Windisch, I'm a property rights advocate, that if you have a property and you meet the requirements of the county, which it appears that it's done so, then they have the opportunity. And you're always afraid of the unknown, but the possibility that maybe they'll get 4 or 5 new neighbors that take care of the property, then buyer beware. Yes, there's a grain elevator right next to them, and I farmed for 30 years. I know exactly how the dryers sound. They go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until the crop's done. I'm glad that we've put in some of the stuff that, they have to get it checked out for the septic systems. Hopefully, the buyers, if there are buyers for this, will do their due diligence, go up and down the road, see what's there, maybe ask some questions. I will be supporting this because it meets all the requirements of the county. Doesn't mean I always like it, but the owner does have the right to do what they want with their property as long as they meet the requirements of the county. Thank you.
Member Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Initially at land use, I was a no vote on this, and it was because of the one sentence in here where it was the cause for concern regarding the on-site wastewater system, so traditional. So I want to give a shout out to Terry Ruland, one of our new board members, who I spoke with regarding this issue. And he did his due diligence and talked to Carrie, and he talked to Kathy. And we had a nice conversation, so I will be voting yes on this.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, please vote.
Member Ricker?
Aye.
17 ayes and 1 nay. Next is item 3, a resolution from your Infrastructure Committee recommending approval to enter into a purchase agreement to acquire 4422 North Brandywine Drive, Peoria, from Dr. Zayed A. Musatef in the amount of $555,000 plus cost and fees.
So move.
Member Salzer? Is there a second? Ms. Blair? Member Salzer?
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to refer this back to our executive committee.
Is there a second for that? Ms. Daly.
Everybody wants a second that.
Take your pick.
Daily. Motion to amend.
So discussion, just for discussion, to refer it back. There's still some outstanding stuff. I know I've heard from multiple people about an appraisal, an assessment of the property, and some other outstanding questions. Some of the documentation from 2016 of how the decision was made, and that's a lot for staff to try to put together. So best to get this right, even if it takes a month or two. So send it back to exec so that give them some time to get that documentation. Plus, I know for the 5 new members, this is quite a bit to take in for the first one. So if there was questions around the horseshoe from existing members, I can only imagine the questions from the new members. So that's what we're going to do with it for a while. So if there's any other discussion, vote on the amendment. Well, vote referral back to committee.
Just a second, let me. Okay, I got my motion from Daly.
So this vote is just the one time, and this is to refer it back to committee. So
Okay.
basically his original motion would be refer this back. Is there questions for that? Please vote.
Member Ricker?
Aye.
18 ayes. Item number 4 is suspension of rules.
Is there a motion? Member Williams, member Renault.
Mr. Chairman, the reason that suspension of rules is on your agenda is most items or all items per your rules of order have to come up through committee. But right now you're moving to suspend your rules for the sole purpose of voting on the next item on the agenda, which is the disaster proclamation. The timing is that we do not get the updated numbers and information from the state in order for that to go through committee. And so you suspend your rules in order to vote on this as a board without it coming through committee. And then the next vote will be on the disaster proclamation itself. And happy to field any questions.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Ricker?
Aye.
17 ayes and 1 nay. Next is item number 5, a proclamation extending the declaration of emergency due to COVID-19 in Peoria County, Illinois.
Is there a motion? Member Salzer. Member Bryant. Please.
Mr. Chairman, or Scott, if you want to speak to it, I can give a brief overview. Mr. Sorrell might have more detail, but the reason that we also adopt the disaster proclamation is to make available to the county funds and procedures that are in place from the COVID-19 pandemic, and the funds and the processes that are available to us when we're in a disaster time. We adopt those at the county level so that we are in compliance with the state. And Mr. Sorrell might have more
Sure.
detail on that.
And here I was hoping I was going to get out without having to say anything tonight. This proclamation, disaster declaration, is similar to what we would do if we were been the victim of a flood or tornado or some other natural disaster. It is purely in place to ensure that we remain eligible to receive any state or federal reimbursement in dollars that are available to us for costs incurred responding to this specific disaster, this one being COVID-19. Some of you have asked, how long might we continue to do this? And my recommendation has been and will continue to be, as long as the federal government and the state government have disaster proclamations and declarations in place, I will recommend we do the same. That way the funding stream does not get turned off from an eligibility standpoint for us.
Thank you, Mr. Sorrell. Any questions? Ms. Blair.
This is probably the educator and grader of finals, as I'm doing right now, in me. But I noticed that it says Andrew Rand as the chairperson. Is that just a Scribner's error, or do we need to make any changes to that?
It is, because I did change you're talking about on the voting?
Yeah, on the proclamation that I'm reading
Okay,
in my iPad. Now, therefore, in the interest of aiding, unless I'm reading the wrong thing.
You're on page 285. That is a Scribner's error.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Rosenbaum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I haven't asked this question before, but as you know, if you look on my record, I've been voting no on this. Can we suspend this, and then if something comes up, enact it again to show that we're moving forward, that since nothing's really much going on, there hasn't been any, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, and correct me if I am, no new monies have been coming, no new stuff. If this is a new norm that we're going to have, can we not do the declaration of emergency and then just bring it back on if something comes back up again, to show that, because there's other counties I've heard that aren't doing this anymore. Just wondering if I would be more apt to bring it back on if something came on, you know, it came up bad again. If we could just do this to make our county look like we're moving forward on that, because, you know, the flu season's hitting. Now you're hearing more people saying, oh, it's a flu bug or it's another virus or whatever. I'd kind of like to, if nothing strong is going on, we don't have, I mean, at one time a month or so ago, the president had said the emergency's over, or the COVID's, you know, over. And that's why I'm wondering if we could just not go with this and then bring it back on again if something happens. I don't have a problem with voting for it again if something happens. It's just a matter of nothing much is going on, and I think it would be, I think a lot of people look at it as it's just a way to change the rules or whatever. So that's my thought. I know there's 18 of us here, and I don't even know if I could get more than 5 or 6 people to agree with me, but that is one of the things I just wanted to bring up, that we hadn't brought this idea up, that, you know, if we could get away with that, and then if it comes back, do it again. That's just a thought, and I'd like you to entertain the thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Rosenbaum. You want to add anything? Or?
Mr. Chairman, I would just say it's a policy prerogative of the board if you wanted to take Member Rosenbaum's suggestion or not. You know, if you go down that path and say, for example, and we still operate at least one congregate living facility, that being the jail. If there were an outbreak in the jail and the declaration was not in place until we realized the outbreak was occurring, then if we did incur any costs as associated with that, whether it be our own staff or whether it be healthcare related costs for the detainees, then those costs may not be eligible for reimbursement because there was not a declaration in place. But obviously, you know, will the board, if the board wants to let it lapse and then move ahead based on current conditions going forward, you certainly can do that.
Any other questions? Member Rosenbaum.
Thank you. To go with what Mr. Sorrell was saying, have we gotten any more money since we've gotten the 34 million? Have we been reimbursed anything for, because we've had outbreaks since then? Have we been reimbursed any more money?
Correct.
For
So
anything? I'm asking that as a informational question. Thank
sure.
you.
So the $34 million in change that Member Rosenbaum is referencing is the American Rescue Plan Act. That is fiscal recovery and not specifically tied to pandemic response, although we could use some of those dollars for that purpose if the board so choose from a policymaking standpoint. We did receive CARES Act dollars, which was the very first funding that the federal government did in the late winter, spring of 2020, and we received multiple rounds of reimbursement for costs incurred. I believe the most recent one was earlier this year, so in the spring of 22. Right off the top of my head, I'm not aware if we've submitted any expenses since what basically would have been last winter, but certainly we can do a little bit of research and report back that.
Any other questions? Member or no?
I just want to say I wouldn't feel comfortable abolishing this until I heard from our public health administrator. There are a lot of grants and a lot of resources that department uses that I would be afraid that that they wouldn't be able to take advantage of those, whether it be test kits or vaccines. I just would hate to blindly take it away and then it affect our health department.
Member Blair.
I believe we have one member out right now because they tested positive for COVID. They're able to vote via phone. Is that because of our COVID declaration or emergency declaration?
It is in combination with the state's declaration, an executive order of the governor that has suspended certain parts of the Open Meetings Act.
Any other questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Member Ricker?
Aye. It is.
15 ayes and 3 nays. Next would be miscellaneous and announcements.
So we'll start on this side of the room to show the new members. Typically, this is where you get to say anything that you would like or make announcements of going on in your community or anything else. So we'll start on this side. Typically, we'd start on this way and work around, but we'll start this way.
I want to wish everyone a blessed Christmas and good health and strength. There's a lot of influenza going around, so take care of yourself.
Want to welcome all the new members, of course, and enjoyed hearing your comments tonight. Want to congratulate Brian. He's the number one person here. He sits in the number one seat for seniority and so forth. But I wonder how many of the new members are veterans. So we have said here, and we haven't had a veteran on the board for a long time. I think Bob Baeta was the last veteran to serve on our board. I just wondered if any of you had served in our armed forces and so forth. But a couple of things that I would like to see happen this year, since you're talking about the COVID-19 and so forth, I would love to see all of our employees come back here to work. I really think they would do a better job for us right here in their place of operation. Another thing I'd like to see, I think it might fall under Mr. Ricker's committee, I would like to see them really work hard on a better insurance, because I probably hear more from county employees about insurance. And I know Rob's worked his fanny off in regards to the insurance committee and so forth, but I probably get more complaints from that aspect of the county than I do any members that I represent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Welcome new board members. Jimmy, congratulations. Sharon, congratulations. I'll be looking forward to working with all of you this year. It's a new board, a new feel. I'm really excited with everybody here, and it's just nice to hear some of our new members already speaking up with their knowledge, because I always like to figure out who the smartest one in the room on the subject is and listen to them, because I've got a lot to learn yet. Thank you.
Rob?
Can't believe Sharon doesn't have anything to share. Congratulations, Mr. Chair and Madam Vice Chair. I'm very excited to work with both of you. And I do have to give a shout out to Member Daly, who congratulate her, who will be rewarded tomorrow morning by Peoria Magazine as one of the most influential women of 2022 in Peoria. So congratulations, well deserved. And happy holidays to everybody.
Jennifer?
Just congratulations to the new members. I can't wait to work with all of you, and congratulations, Chairman and Vice Chairman.
Ms. Blair?
Congratulations to the Chairman and Vice Chairman and all of our new members. Welcome. Please let us know if we can help you with anything. I'm still learning, but I'll do my best. I also wanted to mention, since this will happen before our next county board meeting, startabusinessgp.org. If you go there and join the Smart Start dashboard, find some mentors and make it through the process, you can apply for grants in January, starting in January 1st. I'm looking at Gretchen to make sure we have the official date, for $5,000 to help support starting a business. There'll be more information on the website soon about that.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, wait, and if you celebrate any kind of holiday near the winter solstice, please enjoy it.
Member Daly?
I always try to be very brief if I say anything. So I'm really excited about the 5 new members and looking forward to working with each one of you. And congratulations to our chairman and our vice chairman.
I just want to say congratulations, Chairman Dillon and Vice Chairman, Chairwoman Williams. And welcome to all the new members. I look forward to learning something new from you all and our previous board members. And congratulations to everyone.
I'd just like to say congratulations to our new chairperson and our vice chairperson. And then welcome to all the new members. Hey, this is a good feeling to be able to move around the horseshoe. I've always been at that spot where you are, Terry. But welcome to all of you.
Well, I just want to say congratulations, obviously, to our new chairman and our vice chairwoman as well. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. I know I probably can speak for some of us. We're pretty excited to be here. We're ready to work hard, and we look forward to working with you all. So thank you.
I would echo the congratulations to both the chairman and the chairwoman, or vice chairwoman, and just everyone around the horseshoe here who's been very welcoming and smiling. And shout out to the staff that's integrated us very well and set us up for success. So thank you.
I'll echo what Camille said. Congratulations, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and I hope we all can get along in harmony this year and then months to come, too. That's my wish. Thank you.
I want to say specific thanks, Chairman Dillon, Vice Chair Sharon Williams, Brian Elsesser, Linda Daly. Big thanks, Linda Daly. thank you to Steve Ricker and the staff of the Health Department and the staff of the Zoning Office. We got a board packet on Friday, I think, most of us new guys, girls. And Scott Sorrell, County Administrator, Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, bringing me up to speed to be ready for this meeting. So I got a lot of support. I think all of us, the carpet was rolled out, making us ready for today's meeting. And I especially appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Ruin. So I forgot a couple of things when I was doing thank yous. Not every day my cousin and her daughter Olivia come to a meeting, so thank you for coming to witness this. And I have no idea how I forgot this, but Smooth Operator, I'm sorry, you were one of my influences and mentors earlier when I listed off other people here. So Junior Watkins was the most senior member who came back to the meeting, so I need to recognize him. And the funny thing is, on county board members, I said they were county board members, but they've also gone off to do other great things. Member Morris is now the city treasurer. Mayor Phelan, used to be sitting around the horseshoe. And then to tie it all together, we do have Senator Kaler here today, and I wanted to recognize you for taking the time to come down here, who was a board member of this body. And recognizing other electeds that were here, my father, Mayor Dillon, Sheriff Watkins, and I think it's fitting that all three are in this room tonight. It passed without any mention or conversation, but to Sheriff Watkins, thank you for all your work that you put in on these contracts that came forward to us tonight. And it's fitting that from the Senator to the Mayor Dillon to Sheriff Watkins are all here tonight, because some of this would not have been possible. I know the state worked with it. West Peoria got some grant money to help out. So thank you to all three of you for your tireless work on behalf of law enforcement and getting these contracts for communities. So thank you. And then lastly, thanks you to my wife. I know my kids left, but my mom, dad, and my sister are here, but I couldn't do anything without my wife, so I do appreciate that. And then all members need to turn these in up here. And then lastly, sorry, Member Ricker, did you have any comments that you'd like to add on via phone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like to echo the comments of welcoming the new members. Congratulations to the new chairperson and vice chairwoman. So very looking forward to working with all of you. Apologize I couldn't be there tonight, but I'm sure you're all glad that I'm actually not there tonight. So thank you.
It looks like some of you really wanted to keep those certificates. I do have to send them in to the state of Illinois, but I can make another one for you to have as a keepsake if you like.
Member Daly.
I really need to add, now that it's the end and I know I won't start crying, how much I appreciate that my son surprised me. He came from Houston and didn't tell me.
Oh, wow.
Any other? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.